In our analogy, that was the bad side because Ireland, it was the Ireland versus the All Blacks, is the good side versus the dark side. And you were Darth Vader, being Luke Skywalker's father, who was Johnny Sexton. And but you did actually save them in the end. Do you remember when he throws the Emperor off the...
Yeah, doesn't that mean Johnny Sexton kills him?
Does he? Yeah. Kind of did.
Yeah. Never trust the quiet one.
Joe presents Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello and very welcome to Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby here on Joe together with Guinness. For anyone watching at home, as you can clearly see, we have an extra long chaise longue style couch here that Jerry has lorded out on. Reason being is that we have two very special guests coming on the show this week. We have, all the way from Wales, Welsh legend Shane Williams, as well as Irish legend Ronan O'Gara, coming in for a big long chat. They're on the way as we speak. We had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to to satisfy their early start this morning, which was hell on earth.
Yeah.
We moved the twins out of our room for the first time last night.
Mummy and Daddy getting action again.
That was the plan.
Getting back on the horse.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying Orla's a horse.
I'm over. And those monitor things, man, Jesus, they were kicking off.
You don't need a monitor. You can hear them when they scream. You can hear them.
No, she was insisting on having the monitor. I didn't sleep a wink. I literally haven't slept a wink all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Jerry had a great sleep on the way up in the car. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Listening to another one of O'Gara's podcasts.
Yes, he put us to sleep. But yeah, you've experienced that obviously. Is Katie out the gap with you, or is she still in there?
Yeah. Katie's about 7 months now, and she started. The stage she's at is scrabbing.
Scrapping.
Scrabbing.
Oh.
Vicious. Grabbing stuff like people's faces.
Right.
And then Anna said she turned around the other day. She's at a mother and toddlers thing, and then Katie was fish hooking this other child. So it must be the stages. 6 months you sit. 7 months you fish hook, and then 9 months you start crawling.
Oh, she's developing so well. Yeah. How's her fish hook? Well, look, we've loads to get through. We've got the lads on in about 10 minutes, but I think it's time to get into the Guinness Six Nations. We'll just jump straight in. Trimby, fill us in.
I've got a hot take on Ireland-Scotland at the weekend.
Go on.
So I watched the game and I felt a little bit frustrated. I felt like we weren't as penetrative as we might have been, and we weren't as cohesive as we might have been, and we made it a bit of a battle. And I know O'Mahony took exception to the win being described as stuttering to a win.
Yeah.
Stuttering, huh?
Yeah.
He didn't like that.
Did not like that.
No, but I felt like overall it wasn't an amazing performance. It was enough to get the job done. But I thought individually, I watched the game twice. When did I ever watch games twice?
Never.
Watched it twice, and on second watch, there were a lot of really good individual performances, but for some reason it was nowhere near as fluid a performance, and defensively probably wasn't as dominant as we would like it to be either. So I can't put my finger on it, but I thought Tyke Furlong was class. I thought Handy, James Ryan, both good. Back row, CJ, he was incredible, and he's been the one everybody's been questioning. Pete off the bench, brilliant as well. CJ. I'm trying to think. I thought Henshaw, when he came off the bench, was class. Although Bundy did really well as well. Back three, I thought there were a lot of really good performances, but there was just something about it. Scotland, to be fair, turned up massively. They were so up for it. It looked like they were really ready to go to battle. But yeah, and then they should have won, obviously, if Hogg had got that try in the corner.
They underperformed so much at the World Cup that they would have to be. Hogg looked visibly so up for the game.
Didn't he? Yeah, he did.
Apart from when he dropped the ball. Did you see when he was going in to drop? As he was dropping the ball, one of the Scottish replacements went this went. No, and they kind of went like, yeah.
Hogg celebrating was brazen, like as if they're going to go, oh, he must have got it.
Oh, well, will we check this? No, look at his face. Look at that smile.
Was that Stockdale corner? Was that the drop corner? I think it was.
Yeah, drop corner.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, could be.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I thought it was the other end.
maybe. Anyway.
I thought Jordan Larmour played very, very well.
Yeah, he did.
I thought Herring worked really hard and worked on it, like added some good continuity, and the Irish line-out worked really well.
Yeah.
I thought CJ was top class. I thought Johnny Sexton was excellent. Bundyaki is a lovely buffer of physicality. When there's nothing really on, you can just give him the ball and he'll get you go forward.
See on CJ, is there something in that where Pro 14 and European rugby is I'm not even saying it's a different level. It's just a different type of game, and then Test match Six Nations rugby is your first criteria is you win collisions and you get gain lines and you smash people in defence. So someone like Max Deegan, Keelan Doris, these guys are all singing, all dancing. They look class when they're playing in blue, but it needs a CJ when you get to Six Nations level. Is that too simplistic?
There's going to be, if you're playing for Leinster, your team is going to be a lot better than the other teams you're playing the majority of times as well. So that gives you an advantage. But I also think there's way less space at test level. So if there's more space at Pro 14 in Europe, then you can get your hands free. You can, keep the ball alive a bit easier, and you can look a little bit more, look like you're winning the collisions more. But when there's less space, it just becomes down to bone on bone, and that's where CJ kind of comes into his own there. But people also get frustrated. They go, "Oh, it's just so predictable." But like when there is no space, you need people who can get you a little bit of go forward and retain the ball, and CJ does that really well, and he's a huge work rate.
Yeah.
The difference between CJ and someone like Billy Vanapola is CJ is shorter. He doesn't have the same levers that Billy Vanapola has to get his arms free and keep the ball alive. But he's, people don't appreciate him until he's not there.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at?
No, I'm just laughing at Pat walking out in the middle of the show.
See you, Pat. Defensively, when you say we weren't probably where we should have been, is that strategically or we were soaking a lot of tackles, right?
I thought so. I think it's because, not always actually, to be fair, I don't want to contradict myself, but a lot of Scotland's phase play was really good. A lot of their breakdown work was really good. Now, CJ got over the ball, Pete got over the ball, Josh, all of them did really well at times, actually strangely, off a couple of line breaks, which is the last time you expect someone to get over the ball, and the boys got back and did really well. But for long periods, their breakdown was quite good, and they kept the tempo going. Those little kind of change of directions off 9.
Ali Price and George Horner are so good at playing.
Yeah.
It becomes, you can go on autopilot in defence if a team keeps coming around the corner and you just keep getting around, getting numbers around the corner. No, you don't even have to ID where the attack is because you just know that they're coming. But when a team keeps coming back against the grain, that's when you create mismatches all the time because people get, we'll just get around the corner and we'll fill the field on the far side because we'll be down numbers. But then when Ali Price bounces back all the time, that's, and George Horn does it really well as well.
And because they're a threat themselves as well, it's even more difficult to defend.
Okay, going into Wales this weekend, obviously
We're speaking really fast because we know that we got a lot of squeeze in.
Don't have time. They could potentially be even more of a threat. Josh Adams and I suppose the amount of 9s they have at the moment. Danby are playing pretty well. That's going to be a big threat at the weekend.
Yeah, it's hard to. I think it's really hard to know.
Slowing ball down and stop soaking tackles and
it's hard to know where Wales are because Italy just didn't turn up, and you can. I don't think you can. That's not a gauge at all of where Wales are at, is it?
No, yeah, you're right.
I don't
it's
think
difficult because
they were good though.
I think Franco Smith, the Italian coach, is a brilliant coach. He's brilliant, and any team that Franco Smith coaches, you can see his philosophy, but it's a very much an attacking philosophy, 100%. And if you look at how they defended at times, and even the fact that they had Tommaso Allen at 10 and they had Carlo Canna at 12, like Canna is not a hugely physical 12, and then you have to have him there, and then you have the exact opposite of him as a player in Hadley Park's opposite, marking him. I think that it was just a mismatch from the start, and I think Italy are going to struggle because, like you said, there's going to be less space at test level, so that means that you're your set piece, your kicking game, and your defence needs to be really, really good, and you need guys that can win collisions. You can't just, like Franco Smith, like when he coaches the Cheetahs, they just have this amazing offloading game, and they play really, really expansive rugby and really clever rugby, but when there isn't that much space, it's difficult to do it. So I don't think Italy, I think Italy may struggle in the Six Nations if they don't adapt very, very quickly.
Ireland in attack then, criticised again for kicking box kicks. I think in fairness they only had 5 or 6, but it was the lack of return off any of them. You could actually hear Quinny in co-comments. Did you hear that? You could hear him under his breath going, "Stop kicking the fucking ball." It's hilarious. So is it a means of varying our kicking, or have we got to exit in some way, put the ball into the stands more often?
You have to kick the ball, but the Scotland escorted
That's right, yeah.
very, very well, and then they got caught a couple of times for illegal escorts. And I thought Andrew Conway did a great job on. Did you notice when he did get escorted, if he got hit with his upper body, he left his legs go forward, so he went back. So it wasn't like he just got nudged. It looked like a very clear. He made it really apparent to the referee.
It was more convincing than Johnny's broken jaw.
yeah.
Was it?
But I thought that.
Let's not talk about that.
Sorry. I think like you have to kick the ball in rugby. You have to have the ability to kick the ball. Ideally, you can kick the ball and get the ball back on your terms.
Conway's contribution is enormous, though.
Yeah.
Chasing as hard as you possibly can. That sounds so simple. It adds a lot. 1 or 2 of Murray's went a little bit long, a little bit infield.
But you see, the thing is as well, is the nines are under more pressure now to get the ball away. The referees are telling them use it rather than letting you build the ruck so you can kick it and kick it like under no pressure. They're under the pump to get the ball and get it moved out of the ruck quickly. And if they have to kick, the base isn't as solid for them. So that's why there's a lot more pressure on the nines to be to try and be as accurate as they used to.
The other one, Conway, was just a little bit didn't quite get there in time. He knew he couldn't get up to compete, but he knew he could slap the ball, and he got done for a knock on. But that could have I don't know if that was forward, that one. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
No.
And I just remember being a winger, a receiving winger, receiving that ball, and someone just flaps their hand just right in front of your face as the ball's coming down. Even if you don't get anywhere near the ball, that's really, really difficult. You may as well. Conway's so good at that. If he's not, he just always gets the best of a bad situation. Yeah. Either he'll get right in the air, compete really well, or he'll just make it difficult. But he is so committed, and that's so valuable to the team, I think.
Okay, I think anyone that looked at the Irish game and is critical of it has to take into consideration. Now, I know that there's been changes in pretty much all the coaching teams. Like Wales have a new coaching team. England, under Eddie Jones, have a lot of new assistant coaches. France have a new coaching side. And to be fair, Sean Edwards, their tackle entry, their body shape into the tackling against England was phenomenal. They played really, really well. And then Ireland with a new coaching side as well, and Italy with Franco Smith coming in. So there's a lot of change there, but there's only so much that you can actually alter, because you have a couple of sessions coming into the Six Nations, and you've got to train. Everyone wanted to see our attack and our kicking game change a little bit, but you've still got to train scrums, lineouts, restarts, defence. They all take up a certain amount of time. So I think the main thing is get a win, and then you can start building layers on that. And that's what I think we definitely will have to play a lot better against Wales. But I thought like there was a lot of character shown. I thought Scotland showed up, like we said at the start.
Yeah. No, a win's a win. Take it. Speaking of which, we also need to acknowledge the brilliant wins for Ireland under 20s and women against the Scots on Friday. Did you see the 20s? Very impressive. Yeah. Jack Crowley got a pretty sensational try.
Thomas Ahern.
Sean O'Brien and Thomas Ahern. I thought
Thomas Ahern, one to watch for the future.
Yeah,
his quality.
And the ladies beating Scotland 19-13 with Bevan Parsons scoring a brilliant intercept try, and Senna Nuop was celebrated her 36th birthday. Oh. Fan of the show.
Yeah.
Former guest on the show. Right. She scored Ireland's first try, and Cleana Maloney scored the second one. But we'll take a quick break now, and I think we will have Shane Williams and Raj on the couch straight after this. Now, ahead of this weekend's Ireland versus Wales match in the Guinness Six Nations, we are delighted to be joined by two former international rugby players and sometimes rivals, Ronan O'Gara and Shane Williams, who are hosting the second Guinness Six Nations experience tonight, which involves having a go at a goal-kicking challenge on a simulator in a Cork courtyard in Sober Lane in Cork.
Yeah. That's going to go well, isn't it?
Yeah, goal. Are you renowned for your goal kicking?
Oh, yeah. Renowned, but yeah, I didn't kick, I didn't pass. Yeah, so this might be fun.
Yeah, notice it's not like a
one-on-ones in
Yeah.
20
one-on-one.
metres of space.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like Gavin
I'd show
Henson
my
must have been
skills.
busy, was he?
Mike Phillips was disappointed, actually. He fancied himself.
He couldn't kick the skin off a right.
Nah.
Brilliant, couldn't Mike. Could he?
Will you at least give him your left foot?
It's
Would that be probably better as well?
it's good the way things are kind of on home soil. Things are in Cork, weighted nicely in my favour.
Yeah.
So
Well, we did a live show from Cork last week, and we did stitch together a Star Wars analogy. Now I know you have no clue about Star Wars, but we did say that you were the Darth Vader in our Star Wars, and didn't get very good response. The Cork crowd were like, "Whoa!"
what's Darth Vader?
He's the
Trimble.
bad guy.
What's Darth Vader?
What's
Jeez,
Darth
that's some start.
I think
Well,
I might
where
have
do we
him on this
I
one.
know
It's a detergent. You use it to get stains on your clothes.
I know Darth Vader.
Use
but
Darth
I don't know
Vader.
what it's.
He was the bad guy, right? But the reason he was the bad guy, he used to be the good guy. He was the savior, and then he went to the dark side, like you went to
Leinster?
to New Zealand.
Oh, that's
and
the good side.
In our analogy, that was the bad side, because Ireland, it was the Ireland versus the All Blacks, is the good side versus the dark side. And you were Darth Vader, being Luke Skywalker's father, who is Johnny Sexton. And but you did actually save them in the end. Do you remember when he throws the Emperor off the...
Yeah, doesn't that mean Johnny Sexton kills him?
Does
Well, he kind of did.
Never trust the quiet one.
This went out on Instagram, just that bit, and it was basically him talking, and I was just interrupting every now and again. And then the first comment underneath, like 30 seconds after it was posted, is this supposed to be funny?
Oh, God. I didn't see that.
I think it was
No, it wasn't.
just us enjoying it and everyone else kind of tolerating it and waiting for Fla and Eddie and Ali to get out.
You can't win though, isn't it?
No.
One of the key components of life is just don't really read those comments. Back your instincts, get on with it, Trimby.
Yeah, true.
No, it was him I was offended for. None of them. I tried to endear myself to the Cork crowd by saying how much of a Raj supporter I was. There's Humphreys Northerners and there's Raj Northerners. And no, I'm not going to say I'm exclusively Raj.
No, you can't be. But you prefer me than Johnny, obviously.
Than Johnny.
Yeah.
Oh jeez, I thought it was Humph. You and Humph.
Ah, that's well over, isn't it?
Yeah, you won that battle a while back.
And what are you saying about the other battle?
Ah, jeez, you're just different.
You both had qualities.
Well, look, we're delighted to have you both here. Shane, you've had an unbelievable career with Ospreys, Wales, Lions, went to Japan, had a little time up in Donegal with Glen Swilly, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then finished up in back in your own club in Ammon in Wales. How is life
What was
for you
that
now?
club's name?
Ammon, wasn't it?
Aman, yes.
Ammon,
yeah.
sorry.
Well travelled.
Well travelled,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And how's life for you now? Where are you based, and what are you up to?
Yeah, good really. There's always that worry when you come into the end of your rugby career that you're not going to be busy enough. But it's just been crazy, absolutely crazy. Travelled the world, lucky enough to have started my own businesses back home and keeping the rugby as well. So, I'll be working on the weekend commentary for the Ireland-Wales game. Spent a bit of time this week in Dublin, pottering around. So yeah, life's good. Life's good. I haven't seen Roger and you guys for a while as well, so it's nice to bump into you boys.
Oh,
Yeah.
what age did you finish playing rugby?
I have to work this out now. It was in 2005, so I was 37.
That's
Right.
some innings.
Yeah, well, I finished professional in 2012 with the Ospreys, and ended up just randomly going to Japan to represent a team called the Mitsubishi Heavy Industry Dynamos.
Rolls off the tongue.
I'm glad I got that right on the first
I
go.
remembered Ammon. I had that one
you
written down.
remember the Ammon.
Just to give back to the game.
Just to give back, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, as all the other guys, Dan Carter, and Man Onu, and Sonny Bill, and these boys have done, you've got to give back to
Williams,
the game,
same level.
Yeah. But so that was good fun. That was something I'd never thought I'd get the opportunity to do.
It's because you're so professional. That's why you play for so long, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm thinking in particular of there was a fixture was cancelled with the Ospreys, and then whatever way it happened, you had to play midweek. So you did like an Irish tour. Remember this?
Yeah.
But you were kind of just playing, not training, and you're kind of boozing in between games, because I know Humph, again, 2 references for Humph. He was our DOR at the time. He arrived at the swimming pool the next morning after the game, and he thought, geez, these boys are professional. He's up at 8 o'clock, he's doing his pool recovery. He was still drinking at 8 o'clock because he hadn't been to bed.
We hadn't been to bed, yeah, I remember that vividly. We went on, and I think we won the league that year as well. Which is, not that it's a good example for the kids or anything, but that's right. We came over here and ended up staying because we had like 3 games in a week or something, and then we won the 2 games out of the 3 and ended up winning the league, I think. So it was just a bizarre. But we had those players in the squad. We had the likes of obviously Mike Phillips and Lee Byrne and people like Jerry Collins and these guys that were old school, play hard, but enjoy yourself as well at the same time. And just you front up in the morning. Yeah. But yeah. Don't do that, kids.
Do you remember when you look at the team that you had there? Like you had Adam Jones, Hibbard was coming through at the time. You had Hugh Bennett, you had Alan Wynne-Jones, and I suppose Marty Hollow was unbelievable back then before Justin Tipperick came through. Tommy Bowe, Dan Bigger. He had a phenomenal team. Do you think he actually got enough out of it?
No, not at all. I think we won a couple of Pro 12s at the time, and won some big games, really big games. But when we look back, I think we massively underachieved, especially in Europe. 2 quarterfinals. I remember in 2008 we played the Saracens after the Six Nations, and Lynn Jones, who was obviously the Ospreys coach, said, right, no Ospreys plays, just play as you did in the Six Nations, because most of the team on the day was the starting Welsh team. And he said, just play your Welsh calls and your Welsh plays. We stuffed Saracens in the Millennium Stadium, or Principality Stadium now, and the following week we went up to Watford, and we lost the game, and we were rubbish. We just massively folded before the game had even kicked off. We just didn't. I just think we just didn't believe that we were good enough to win Europe. As simple as that. So in the Pro 12 we were doing particularly well. Winning away from home in Munster and Leinster and winning big local derbies. And then when we got to Europe, we just massively froze. We lost to Biarritz as well in the quarters, where we were by far the better team. But I didn't play particularly well. A lot of the big players didn't play particularly well. That usually we used to play well, and it was massively frustrating as well, because we were good enough to do some damage in Europe. We had a great squad. We were the Galacticos, as they said. Yeah. At the time, you kind of brush it aside, but you look back and think, how didn't we win something?
But most of those players, you won 3 Grand Slams, didn't you?
Well, I didn't. I won 2, but Adam Jones, those guys. The likes of Mike Phillips, these boys.
It's just interesting to hear that you felt that you didn't believe you could win Europe.
Yeah, I know. It's bizarre. No, I
win
look
at a
back
higher
and I
level.
think, what were we thinking?
Yeah, because it's hard to channel your energy maybe at 2 huge competitions. But, the Irish players would have been, the Holy Grail was winning a European Cup. But, I think the first time we won a Grand Slam was 2009. Yeah. And it was, how many years before that was it, Jackie Kyle? Was
50 years.
Yeah. 61. So, it just
goes on.
You had a lot of battles back then as well. Ireland and Wales and Ospreys and Munster. The Guinness tagline for tonight is come as rivals, leave as friends. But there was a lot of spice in those games back in the day in 2009 and 2011. What did it feel like that there was, I suppose England would usually be the the main rivals for both teams, but there was seemed to be a huge
Yeah, there was,
competition.
because there wasn't many turnover in the teams. There was a lot of players that were kind of playing a lot of games, and the fact, the Warren effect as well. The fact, like, I made my debut for him, then he goes to Wales, and you obviously respect the coach that gave you your first cap, and then he's gone. He's gone into a new territory, and you're wondering what's he really saying to these guys. And it was big battles with Ireland, Wales over the years. It was I remember. There was some absolutely brilliant games. Croke Park. We lost the game to Wales at Croke Park. It was sickener. I think it was Wales won the Grand Slam that year, wasn't it?
That was a big game. Yeah.
Well, that was the penalty, was it? That was a penalty at the end. First tackle, no. There was a number of times. One of my worst memories, Shane, is again one of your Grand Slam years. Is you got on the outside of me, and I was so concerned about your sidestep that I forgot that you're actually quite fast as well.
Forgot about this, didn't you?
Yeah,
Forgot about this.
So I got left behind as I was catching up. I got near him, and then he fended me, hand off right in the face. And then I was asking Tommy, Tommy came back to me next week, and he was like, Shane says that's the only handoff he's ever done.
I was going to say, I remember it vividly, because that was probably the only time I've ever used a handoff.
Yeah.
And I was like, when you were going down as well, I thought, really?
Silly.
Really?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do remember that one as well.
Yeah.
Sorry about that one.
That's fine. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, it's a lovely.
You wasn't as bad as my one. My one in Millennium Stadium. That tops it all, though. Charged down by Gethin Jenkins. He still had about 60 yards to go. He out-sprinted me to the line, and he dived on the ball, and I was trailing after him. And I really just wanted to land my jump right on his head as I came down.
Is that why you threw the ball at you?
It was just, you know,
If
it's a back row or a winger or a centre, you can kind of take when you see the loose head prop. Leaving your foot in the jersey.
I'm going to make you feel better now, because in fairness to Gethin, he was an absolute freak of nature.
Yeah, he was.
He was the fittest guy in the
Yeah,
squad.
great guy too.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of rugby, isn't it? The fact that when you get to know these guys after having a few drinks with them, going on Lions tour, spending time with them, he's a great sense of humour, just so bitter in the morning, but by the dinner time comes, he's a great man for stories. I've been lucky in the fact that, as you said, there was huge rivalry with the Welsh boys, but like I went on, I signed is probably pushing. We got Mike Phillips out of Bayonne up to Racing, resurrected his career, gave him a new life.
A great life.
What a great guy.
Yeah.
Dan Lydiot, chop tackle. Loved the chop tackle every day.
Face tackle.
Invented it.
Yeah, face plant.
But you and
and
Mike
Jamie
used to
Roberts.
you and Mike used to have some great banter. I remember just listening. Because my banter wasn't the best, I've got to be honest. But yours and Mike was pretty good. And I just spent half the game just listening to you and Mike call each other names and,
Jesus,
and family members and God knows what. And I'd be thinking, that's a bit harsh. And ooh, these guys are gonna go for it after the game. And then you'd walk out of the change room, and the first guys chatting each other on the drink together would be him and Mike. I was thinking, really? Do you remember when he was just calling you 20 minutes ago? It was just bizarre. Great
Mike
banter.
Phillips got involved in a few Twitter rows as well, didn't he? Remember he got into that row with One Direction? You remind me of Irish one.
Is it Niall?
No. He says, he called him out, he said, you and the rest of the Beatles will see you after the game or something.
He loves him, man.
He has good banter.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, there's a picture actually of him outside Madison Square Gardens, isn't it? Him and Niall, just putting up their dukes. But that's Mike. He loves a bit of controversy. He loves a lot of banter.
Yeah.
And loves himself. Even more.
Life in La Rochelle, you do love those kind of relationships with people. Have you got many people down there? Friends? Have you settled well into life in France again?
Mike Phillips now straight to La Rochelle. Go on,
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
I have
Have you made friends?
Is it all
No.
work, no play?
work and family, but I have 5 kids, so
Yeah.
it's kind of enough on my plate.
How many of those were planned?
All of them.
The twins and all.
They're 11, imagine.
Wow.
I have an 11-year-old daughter, so
How
We're at
different
the
is
mobile
it, Raj?
phone stage. It's really tough.
Wow.
Holding out, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
That's probably a good description where my life is at the minute. How do I hold off getting 2 11-year-olds a mobile phone? We need one for the school bus. School bus.
One between them.
Are they all fluent?
Yeah. Yeah, it's but sure, as you know, the show goes on, isn't it? 4 years. I finished in 2013, so straight to France. 4.5 years in Paris, 2 years in New Zealand, 6 months now done in La Rochelle. So they have never known Ireland, the kids.
Are they in a French school? Or
No,
an
yeah,
English?
sorry. No, French. That was the big thing. I think that was the great, incredibly difficult decision at the start, because we were in Paris. We put him into a public French school, which was completely mixed. It was like every nationality of the world, really.
How was that? Because I'm thinking of
Coming from Cork to that was like, and honestly, walking out of the schoolyard for the first 4 months, myself and Jess were kind of, didn't even really walk together, because you're kind of like, hold off those tears because we're doing the wrong thing. This isn't right. This isn't what it should be like. And after 4 months, it kind of clicks a little bit. You can see that they're, you know what I mean? They can't speak anything. They can't really communicate. It's non-verbal communication for those. I know they're little kids, but they're still people.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, Pinar, when he went to Montpellier, he found it very tough. His kids didn't speak a word, and it was every morning, you know, getting them out of the car, them crying their eyes out.
yeah, it wasn't never that bad. No, for me, they didn't really have that grasping onto you. They did for the first few days, but it was like you question everything.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean, hurt me, but don't hurt them.
Yeah.
Had they been to school in Cork before?
No,
So this was their first experience at school, which has probably helped
exactly.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So they're all fiercely independent, so I'd say, off the back of that, right?
It's kind of cool then when you kind of come home and you're in a different room and you hear your kids arguing in French.
Wow.
So that kind of makes you feel a little bit better about the miserable life you're giving them. Depriving them of any real friends in Cork.
Well, taking them then to New Zealand as well in the middle of it must have been an incredible experience.
Yeah, and it wasn't great because the New Zealand kind of education in the schools is kind of, so it's an open schooling, which is very new to me or maybe to Irish people. So essentially you go in and it's kind of an open plan. So in this section here we might do a little bit of maths, but there's no classroom. Over here might do a bit of history and geography. So 80, 90 kids mingling. But I think it also opened the avenues that if you want to play rugby, you just leg out to the pitch or play football or cricket. So my boys they didn't lick it up off a stone, as Jess said. They were kind of lashing rain. They wear shorts all year round over there. So -2, -3. You have a fleece, shorts, grey socks, and out to the pitch. But so there's a lot of people falling through the kind of loop of, I'll do maths, I'll do history, English, or I'll do sport. So they went to sport, and now they don't do any schoolwork. So we're trying to get the little and often 20 minutes a day. And it's kind of not great either when you're being picked up by your teacher for your 7-year-old that he's not doing his devoir, which is his homework, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Shane, did you bring the family to Japan?
Yeah. I was in a similar situation. Obviously, I went to Japan for 3 years, but
How's your Japanese?
so I get by. I come home and I think I've forgotten it, but I was out for the World Cup for nearly 2 months, and you know, I could get by. I could order food and things. I got the pleasantries and things I got just about, but it wasn't easy. But it's a tough language, and I had similar problems with the school because my boy was just getting into coming out of like kindergarten into an all Welsh school. My daughter was like 2 or 3. She was 2 years into a school that only spoke Welsh first language, and then all of a sudden we put him in like daycare in Japan, and it was all Japanese, and the kids were like, what's happening here?
Right.
You know, mum and dad are speaking English in the house,
Yeah.
the teacher's speaking Welsh, and now we've gone on holiday and there's this teacher saying things we don't even know what they're saying, so that was really hard.
Okay.
But like I only signed in Japan it was meant to be a season, you know, I was meant to go over there and kind of make a relationship between Wales and this club, but I ended up staying 3 years, so after the first year, my wife said, look Shane, we've got to go home. it's really difficult on the kids. It's hard. I miss back home. We're going home. I was like, oh, okay, no problem. We've given it a go. It's fine. We've really, enjoyed ourselves. Let's go. And she goes, no, not you. You can stay. I take the kids home. I was like, okay. Yeah, what are you trying to tell me? But we made it work. The family went home after year 1. I stayed out another 2 years, but I was.
It's a shorter season anyway.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a short season, right? But don't be fooled. It's a long pre-season.
Okay.
You play a lot of rugby in between as well, because the rugby teams are company owned, big companies. Coca-Cola, Kobe Steel, Panasonic. Big companies with lots of money, but with lots of pull, and that's all they want to do pre-season is, beat Honda in a big game. There's nothing on it. It's a friendly, but then you can say Mitsubishi have beaten Honda. It's quite bizarre in that sense. But then the season starts, and the games are played really quickly. Every week up until Christmas. But if you haven't got to the promotions, this was my situation. If you didn't get to the promotions, your season was over. And then the more successful you were, the longer you were in the season. So it was quite a bizarre setup, really. But like I say, we kind of made it work.
Did you dominate? Have you seen those clips of Snyman recently?
Yeah.
Was that like you? Was it?
Well, yeah, like about
The
the
overage player.
3 foot shorter version.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? How much he sticks out.
Yeah.
It's just like
It's like this. The rugby it was the fittest I've ever been.
Really?
Because they'd have 3-hour rugby sessions. They have a 2-hour rugby session, and then they'd be like, right, hour of fitness. And I was like thinking, oh my God, I'm into my 30s now.
So
I
2
don't
hours of
really
rugby
miss-
and then an hour of fitness?
Yeah, almost every game. It was very old school in that sense. But it seems to have worked for the national team because they're probably the fittest team in the World Cup. And it's played at 100 mile an hour, whenever there's and there's a lot of mistakes at the time because when I was there's a lot of players that probably didn't have the skill level of the Snymans, the Manonus, the Dankats. So the Japanese boys were making a few mistakes. So it was almost turnover. Yeah. There was no kicking going on. It was just like from end to end. The rugby was just hectic. But, I enjoyed that. I played off a lot of turnovers, got a lot of space. The legs weren't quite what they were when I was like late 20s, 30s. But
Any successful handoffs?
couple of dips to the shoulder, picking on a few of the boys there. But no, you were the only one. Sorry. But it was fun. It was fun. But yeah, I've been, watch the likes of Dan Carter and Sonny Bill was funny because even though he didn't play much rugby there, he'd get the ball and he'd kind of amble through a tackle and you could see he was just waiting for the big offload for the money shot, and he'd like go half through and it'd be a nice little flick and the whole crowd would be like, yeah. And then they're all watching Sonny Bill in the corner celebrating, but the tries happening down the corner like, oh yeah, we scored as well, but Sonny Bill did this, and they love that. But yeah, it's just 100 mile an hour rugby. Good fun though.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
you say the coaches, it was 3-hour sessions, man. So were your coaches Japanese or were they?
Initially when I got there, we had a Japanese who was kind of the director of rugby, who used to coach college sides back in the 70s, 80s. And again, the whole philosophy is, if you train hard, you're gonna play hard, and you're gonna be the best team. If you train for longer, you're gonna be the best team. And he was very old school, but we did have foreign influence in the end. We had Beaver was there, Stephen Donald was out there, Anthony Borich, and Beaver, a great guy, top man, but he doesn't like training. I don't think he likes playing, to be fair. But he's still playing out there, in fairness. But he'd be like, oh my God, we're an hour into training, we've got 2 hours to go. And I was like, yeah, just dig in, this is how they do it. Oh my God, this is killing me. But he's still out there playing, so he must have loved it in a sense. But mainly there's Japanese coaches with a bit of foreign influence. And we had Craig Green there eventually, who was an ex-All Black who come, and he kind of tapered it down a little bit. But the powers that be would always go, oh, that was only an hour training. Come on, let's do fitness on the end instead. And the coach was like, all right, I can't do nothing about this. We've got to do it.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was tough. It was the fittest. Honestly, I was the lightest I've ever been and the fittest I've ever been.
Were you breaking down at all?
No, not really. It was
Like crying?
It was, yeah, broke down. I cried a few times. But, you know, the good thing was as well, even though they like their foreign influence and players and coaches, you can only have 2 foreigners on the field at the same time. So, you know, I was either on the bench or I was starting. I was coming off after 40, 50 minutes. So you weren't playing full matches anyway. And it obviously wasn't, the players weren't as big and as physical as I was used to. But, you know, it's
You're
still...
being very humble. It sounds like it was very easy.
No, it wasn't, honestly. It was... And people, you know, people would literally, one of the boys would literally throw me a ball. Like, and I'd be behind the races, and they'd look for me, and they'd throw me a ball, and they'd go like, "Come on, Shane, do something." And I'd be like, whoo, they'd all of congregate onto me, and I'd try and do something. And yeah, it was hard. It was hard, really hard. Enjoyed it. I loved it because it took me back to my roots as well. Because I remember my first game for Mitsubishi, our pitch was in the middle of the factory, which was quite bizarre, and we had like 300 or 400 people watching us. You know, so I'd gone from playing the Millennium Stadium, 74,000, a couple of million watching on telly, to, you know, kids and family having a picnic on the side of the pitch, cooking hot dogs. And, and I was like, oh, this is quite cool, actually. I'm quite enjoying the fact that I haven't got to read the papers on Monday and, you know, Shane Williams was rubbish, you know, 6 or 4 out of 10. So it was, it was time to relax and enjoy the rugby again. I've tried it.
So there wasn't many Monday mornings you woke up to that. Shane Williams 4 out of 10.
yeah. Fact.
Talking about Welsh press.
I suppose we better touch on the Guinness Six Nations this weekend. A lot has changed in both camps since last year, I suppose, when Wales beat Ireland quite convincingly in Cardiff. Raj, what do you think Ireland need to do to beat Wales at the weekend?
I think they need to try and get more tempo in their game. I think when you look at England-France, the contrast in probably speed from the off in that game as opposed to the Ireland-Scotland game. I know Scotland owned the ball for the first 5 minutes against Ireland, but I think the Ireland team, because genetically we don't have monsters really playing the game, we need to play at a faster speed. Like, I think the 3 teams coming out of the World Cup for me, obviously, are South Africa, but you have to admire the way that they back their game plan. England, the way I was in the ground to watch them play New Zealand, and a tactical masterclass really in terms of attacking, kicking and finding space against New Zealand. And then I think what gave great excitement and hope as a young coach watching Japan, just how they play as a national team. Like their variety in their attack is phenomenal. I think they changed the point of the attack. Like, you don't have to, their aggression at the ruck, but also just clearing the point of contact is very, very interesting. So I think Ireland need to kind of take a little bit out of their book in terms of just having multiple threats. But at the minute, it seems that it's CJ, it's Bundyaki. We cannot seem to go from wide to wide, which I understand in January it's probably difficult with a wet ball, but it wasn't really a wet ball at the weekend. So for me, the big one would be tempo. And an example of tempo, I think, as I've said 100 times, is how England manipulated Ireland in the Six Nations last year. So kick off, Ireland play a pot of 3, set up the box kick to touch, hooker already there, running to the line out, overthrow, Tuilagi, wasn't it, into Van der Fleer, ruck short side and score. They didn't expect to score, obviously, after 3 phases, but I think the big one would be tempo.
And that's not, I suppose, just ball in hand. I think I've heard you speak before about living in chaos and teams that can play in that kind of environment.
Yeah, like that's so much of rugby now. Like, it's very hard, I think, unless you have a few, like Japan, to be fair, a few brilliant starter moves. Like, the defences are more set off first phase. So, like, unless you were the Italian winger and you come up with an absolute crazy decision to not do anything in defence and Wales score in the left-hand corner off a right-hand side line-out, it's hard to score off first phase really at this level when you've really good decision makers in defence that watch the ball now. But I think so much of the game is chaos or scraps, and that's where you get your mismatches, that's where you get your opportunities. But like, to be good at that, you can't just start scanning on the day. It has to be behaviour that you're working on, and you're kind of probably reviewing in video sessions and kind of going, well, have you seen the space here, and who's communicating? So I'd be a big fan of trying to get the comms from outside to in, because if you understand the game, like 9 and 10 are kind of, their vision is quite closed, in the fact that the 9 is kind of looking in and around the forwards and the breakdown. The 10 has to have his head on a swivel in terms of, is there kick space here, here, or is there run space? There has to be space somewhere. There just has to be. That's not a valid excuse for me.
So there's almost 2 playmakers that are potentially need either side of the ruck.
Trimble would have played in backlines with you know what I mean, with Rico at test level. And honestly, like, so much of the game plan was just the call was Frano, just a miss 1 to 13.
Give me the ball, yeah.
But there was a reason, because it wasn't as if he had 3 men on him too. All he needed was kind of 1, and if there was a 1 guy, then the next guy can either run an overs or an under off him, or he can throw a miss pass. But I think, and you would understand this better, the best guys I played with were Topoki and Howlett, because they made me look like a genius at times because of their comms on the run. You know, like talking about, kick space. So if we're playing this way, your right wing is Doug Howlett and your outside attacker is Topoki. All he used to ever say was get to him, and then he'd just go plus minus. So plus was what he'd bounce out, and minus what he'd take inside shoulder. If there was with Dougie on your inside, and I remember just so many of his attacking kicks was just when he'd call at the last second, and you're going, oh, great vision from O'Gara. I was just there. No, just great vision from Howlett, because like, I have to, you know what I mean? I'm scanning you as my 9 to get the ball, but he's actually on a freebie here inside as a threat or a trail, like Rate scored against France. Just, I think all the opportunities nowadays are kind of in phase play. I think as a coach, you just get such satisfaction if you're able to score off first phase, you know. First time it's happened was kind of La Rochelle Montpellier. We got 2 tries off first phase, and I'm talking myself up here, which I don't like to do, but it honestly just gave me what you do for the transfer. It rarely happens from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And Jesus, it worked in the game, you know. Yeah. But like,
that must be very satisfying.
Oh, because you're going like, it was basically 9 to 12 back to 9, 13 on the short line, 15 out the back. It's exactly how you planned, and 15 got on the outside of the second last, and a little just tip for the winger. He scores untouched. Well, not untouched, but he did a bit of a.
Did you keep your poker face though? Did you, or were you like, geez, that actually worked?
I can't believe it.
Yeah. I don't know.
How much, Raj, in terms of structuring your sessions, how much of it is unstructured versus the starter plays? That's all, the starter plays are your bit as the coach, and you can get protective of them, but you're not developing the players' decision making unless you're actually working on the unstructured.
Very accurate answer to that is be 12 minutes of unstructured and 20 of maps. But the maps take longer, and you'd kind of like to work that. You'd nearly be flipping the time.
Yeah.
But as you know, so much of it too is dictated by GPS and kind of just getting the weekly load right. But unstructured play is where the game is going.
It's like if you have a couple of freaks on your team, if you have a Billy Vanapola or a Manitou Lagi, you can do very, very simple starters, and then you can just play from unstructured after that, because you've probably generally compromised the defence from there. But that's why you're saying about tempo. When you don't have those guys, you've got to do things quickly to try and catch the defence up.
Yes, and England were different without the 2 Vanapolas, and obviously 2 Lagi going off. It's just a different team for them, you know. So I think that's why you literally, like, it's how do I get the best out of my players who are playing? It cannot be the same template every week. Like, we have Botia, the Fijian centre. Oh, just and
12 or 6, whichever
correct,
you want.
You know, like, when have you ever had that? Really, I haven't. You know, so like, you've enough going on in your head during the game, but you're kind of going, can I get him into the back row for a sneaky Fijian pick and go? You know, the last guy in the ruck. They're just so good at picking that. And it's kind of the one guy when you're the coach and you're the whistle, you just kind of have to extra be careful. Where is this guy? Because if he hits you, you mightn't get up.
When you have to try and ref the session,
Yes.
and then you're like, oh, it's going to come on a short line here in a minute, I'm dead. We had Eddie O'Sullivan on the live show, and we were chatting to him, Shane, because he gave all of us our first caps. But I had to do a game with a media thing with him, and I was anxious going on to it because I was like, he was real standoffish when he was our coach. So I was like, oh, this is going to be hard work. And then like Donnacha O'Callaghan and Stringer and Tommy Bowe were there, and they said, Eddie's a great laugh. And I said, what? They said, yeah, we've done loads of media with him. So I got chatting to him. It was brilliant. He was such a good laugh, and he was a mine of chatting to him about coaching. And then we asked him on the show, because there was this whole thing about Joe Schmidt being here and then Andy Farrell being a bit more relaxed. And I asked him, I said, why were you so standoffish as a coach? And he just said, look, I didn't want to seem like I was favouring certain people, you know. Yeah. But I'd be interested in what way you felt Warren Gatlin was, because I got chatting to Mike Phillips about that. And then to ask you, Rog, what you were like from, say, when you first started coaching, what you felt your relationship should be with the players when you started to after the journey you've got on to where you feel it is now, and can you be yourself?
I think with Warren, with me, I don't know, I hadn't, he was a very hands-on, as in with the players. His player management was brilliant. You know, he was always very honest, open, transparent, but ruthless at the same time. So you kind of had this, for me, he was a mate, you know. He was a mate that I felt that I had to play well for, because even though I was his mate and he was very honest and telling me, you know, I could have scored 2 tries on the weekend and come away thinking, oh, I've done okay. But he'd go, oh, well done on the 2 tries, but missed 2 tackles. So, you know, talk me through the tackle, and he'd be like, oh, actually. So there was me thinking, oh, I've done really well, you know, thinking I've had a good game. But then not realising that, okay, I need to work on this instead. So he'd take you to the side and have a chat and so on. So you always felt very comfortable with him. But in the same sentence, ruthless, he'd come and say, Shane, if you play like that again, mind, George is going to be playing next week. Or, you know, if you don't train this week, because I don't think you trained last week very well, George is going to come in. But I'm just letting you know, so that, you know, the ball's in your court. And, you know, he was one of those. So even though he was face to face, was great. You also knew as well that, you know, he's there to take your legs away from you if need be. And I quite liked that. I enjoyed the fact that he'd be quite straight. And you know, some players like that, some players don't, I suppose. But yeah, I felt the same with Eddie. I've met him several times, done a couple of, you know, TV work with him as well, and he's almost like a different person, isn't he?
Oh, he's so engaging.
Yeah.
And that's what was frustrating me, because I've had coaches and you know that they're your boss, and ultimately they're going to dictate whether you play or not. And when you don't play, you get pissed off and you get angry at them. But you kind of realise that if he wasn't my boss, I could have a cup of coffee with that guy, or go for a drink with him, and I'd get on with him. But with Eddie, I didn't know what the guy was like at all. Yeah. So that's why I was asking him. I said I felt he would have got more out of us if I knew what he was like. Raj, coming. I found it really hard at the start when I was coaching, man. Going in to try and figure out, like, because I never felt that I would be the right personality for a coach, so I tried to pretend I was someone else to start with. I would be interested, because you have a real good manner with you when you're dealing with people. You're winning over people like Trimble.
Yeah, I suppose I was coming at it from so you leave Munster, you finish in Munster in May, you go to Paris in July. Your head is in a spin. Like, first 18 months of coaching, you just so missed the game. Like, they were there, you're kind of like, where do I put out the cones? People think that's funny, you know what I mean? But like, I haven't done this in 15 years. I've never done it before. I don't know really how this drill is going to work. It looks all right on paper, but it isn't played on paper, you know? So you're really out of your comfort zone. It's really, really challenging. But I thought, I didn't know anyone. So it was a case of, and my role was different. It was kind of an assistant coach. But the great thing I think that I took out of my career was those kind of last few years when I knew I wanted to be a coach, and the value of the squad. So, you know what I mean, you're 10 years, you're undisputed, playing number 10 every week. You're just like, this is me. This is what I'm meant to do. Then you get onto the bench and you see things so differently. But it was so valuable to appreciate, you know, for example, the Trevor Hogans of Munster when he was there, outside of the, you know what I mean, if you don't manage your 24 to 34, you have no chance. They are the key people for me. These people have emotions, they have feelings, they're really, really important. And you think getting dropped is bad. What about the guys that never make it into the squad? Horrendous. But they have the exact same goals, ambitions as you have. They do the goal setting. They do everything. They do all the hill runs. And you cannot, these guys are absolutely crucial. You have to make these feel like kings. So that for me was the biggest thing in terms of learning that at the end of my career about going forward into coaching. I have got to, the guys that are number 3 and 4 in each position are crucial to whether your environment succeeds. And that was just so enhanced going to the Crusaders. Everything is about, the one direction I got from Razor was basically, he trusted me in my unit work because I was only a backs coach, for example. He watched me and he said, that's all right, you do that, but you just got to connect with your players. So everything was about connections, coffees, chats, discussions, growing ideas, but they present. And I was there, nah, Razor. We do it my way. And first 3 or 4 months you're like, no, I think it's kind of better if I present, you know. I'm good at presenting, I'll do it, but like it's just, then you have your pre-meeting, they deliver the key points, it just empowers them. They take the responsibility, they're playing. When they're under the pump, they've got to find solutions on the pitch. There's no point going, well lads, we discussed this, we said we were doing it. But you just, that's not the way. Again, the rugby isn't played on a laptop. So many coaches think it is. You have 80 minutes live sport, they're not robots. That's the most important thing for me, I think. So I think, and it's easy for me because I probably feel that you're connected to the thing, but what happens, please God, if we're around in another 10 years and you're the coach, then I would say your probably approach will change, you know, but you feel like that you're quite relative now, but like I'm coaching guys that are 20 years younger than me. And I can remember when I was doing the leaving cert and there was a guy 40, he was there, Jesus man, he's old, isn't he? You know, yeah. But like that's where you're at now, but I think it's...
you can still do it, but you can go out and kick a ball and pass a ball and you can probably do it better than a lot of the players to a degree.
Oh, but it's such a...
But that's going to go in time.
No, but that was the big thing I did well, I think. I just had no interest in kicking. Because, you know what I mean, you become a kicking coach. I have no interest in that. I'll help the guys that have a drive to get better if I can. But for me, it's like, that's nearly like professional golf. Someone that wants to be a goal kicker or a good kicker, they've got to play an individual sport and then come back into the real world, which is team sport. Because they aren't really applicable. It's like expertise around a tight head getting the scrum right, isn't it? It applies to him, but the whole team suffers if they don't do their job. So that's the beauty of sport in terms of all the key components adding together so you have a jigsaw that's functional. But for me that was, I think you gotta have people who feel valued. Everyone loves a slap in the back. Everyone loves to be encouraged. If you keep telling someone you're not really good at that, sure, what are they taking home? Get into the car after training going, well, all this guy is saying to me is that this can't be done. You can do it. You just got to kind of, it takes more time than you appreciate to learn or break down habits or skills.
Great stuff. Right. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. We'll get quick predictions for the game at the weekend, the Guinness Six Nations, Alfie, and then I know you've got a busy day, so we'll let you rock on.
For the kicking challenge.
Shane, who do you think? What are the thoughts in Wales? I know we're kind of hoping that we'll scrape into and get a win.
Look, this fixture is always tough, but one thing that I have noticed is that Wales are no longer intimidated coming to Ireland anymore, and vice versa, unfortunately. We're still picking bits out of the performance against Italy, because I don't think Italy was the best performance by Italian side, and they haven't performed for some time. But we still nilled the team in the Six Nations, and that's a huge accomplishment. Plenty more to come from this team. I'm sure there'll be a few changes made. I'm really impressed with Nick Tompkins when he came on. We've been struggling in the centre, really have. But this one's going to be close. And there are things to improve on from Wales, so I'm going to go Wales just. But I think encouraging for Ireland, I'd say, is that they've won a tough game on the weekend without having played much rugby whatsoever. So plenty more to come from Ireland as well, unfortunately for us.
Yeah. Raj?
I think I would have said Wales of Jonathan Davies. I think Wales are different when he plays. I think he has that much of an impact on that team. I think he's a quality player, really, really world-class player. I think Ireland will be significantly better, and they'll need to be. Home advantage for me in the Six Nations is huge. This Irish team, they're not allowed to lose at home. I think that's the mentality they've built. They've the best record at home of all the teams in the last 5.5 years, 5.5 years. So Wales have got better. Bigger has got better. I think it'll be a fascinating battle of the half-backs. Wales have a lot of good nines again.
It's almost a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost a problem. We don't know which nine we can start with. Now Webb's coming back as well. And we've got Gareth Davis not involved at all last week. And
the star of the World Cup, really, wasn't he?
Which is bizarre, but at the same time, you've still got two class players on the squad there. So that's one area I think Wales have always been lucky to have strength and depth. Obviously, the back row is going well, but centre's a real problem for us at the moment. So having to put George there, George is a winger as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, me too.
We've got a couple of good wingers playing as well, so it's a predicament, but that is an area we are struggling.
What is the talk? Parks with Hadley Parks with Tompkins, is it?
Yeah, well, Parks had a niggle as well, so it'll be interesting.
Did he play last weekend? He did.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Okay.
But you put North out, or like McNichol and Josh Adams are going well there?
Well, you can't drop Josh Adams anymore. He's scoring tries for fun. You get that purple patch in your career where, second half I was commentating. I was in the club. I wasn't commentating. But I was talking to the boys. I said, "We haven't seen Josh Adams this second half. He needs to get in the game. Next thing, bang! It's a short ball try.
Yeah.
You're thinking, well, thanks. That's all we need, Josh.
Yeah.
He's had a hat trick. Happy days. That's a sign of a player that's on form. Doesn't always have to be looking and be involved. Whereas George has kind of lost his way a little bit. We're trying to get him in the centre so he gets more of the ball, which he did on the weekend. But still, you could see the difference in calibre and how a centre plays. When Tompkins came on, he looked like a proper centre. Running the right lines, running short balls, scores the try as well. So it's hard. And McNichol's one of the form players in the Pro 14. So sometimes if you're playing well for club, you warrant your opportunity in test level. So it's very hard. I think George is on the cusp now of having to work really hard to get in this team, and maybe that'll do him good. Sometimes you need that kick, don't you, to get you going. So we'll have to wait and see. I suppose in selection. What's the day? I don't know what day it is, but selection will be pretty soon, won't it?
Did we get a prediction out of you, Raj?
I said Ireland just.
Ireland just and Wales just.
Wales just.
That'll do us. Sit on the fence. Well, look, lads, thanks a million for joining us today. Absolute legends. Been a pleasure, and the best of luck for the rest of the week.
Cheers, mate.
Sound. Okay, welcome back, and it's time for the Guinness Pint Predictor. I think we should take a look at the Guinness Pint Predictor league table then. Probably not something you want to do, actually, because you didn't do great. But I am second on the table behind Tom Shanklin.
Never heard of him.
Yes,
I don't know why I'm slagging him.
For those of you that don't know, the Guinness Pint Predictor does pretty much what it says on the tin. You predict the winner and the margin of the Guinness Six Nations games every week, and if you're within 3 points, you win a pint of Guinness.
Simples.
So last week we set our scores and some of us didn't do so well.
You're last.
Me, obviously. I'm second last.
Second last.
Sorry, I'm joint last. We're playing throughout the championship, so get involved and download the Match Pint app using the league code HORIE, House of Rugby, IE, like the Japanese hooker is the way to remember that.
Well done.
Check out our pretty woeful efforts at predicting the games. We've got some seriously good prizes up for grabs.
You I think, predicted England would win by 10 points. That's why I let you down.
That's correct.
And you're only in second last place because your name begins with A.
Yes.
I believe. So you're in last.
Yeah.
If you are top of the overall table at the end of each round, you'll win Guinness Six Nations tickets. Aidan Dwyer with 59 points finished top of the House of Rugby League for round 1. So congratulations, Aidan. You have won 2 tickets for Ireland versus Wales at the Viva Stadium at the weekend.
Yeah, the three of us are going to be competing against each other in a head-to-head as well every week. So Trimby, unfortunately, this week you've lost. So Pat's going to come up with a forfeit for you, but by the end of the Six Nations, we're going to have an ultimate forfeit for whoever comes last. But Pat, what have you got in line for poor Trimby?
Yes.
Delicately
People can't
holding
see
it in
the
the
ridiculous microphone that he has.
The Michael Bublé microphone. So this was inspired by a story Trimby told us there last season about having to call Peter O'Mahony and keep him on the phone for 2 minutes. So your forfeit, Trimby, is to the lads are going to go through your phone book on your
Can I call
phone.
Pete again?
It'd be brilliant if he was to pick up, and
He probably won't, but we'll try Pete, will we?
but yeah, call away and you have to keep him on the phone for 2 minutes.
Though, will he?
Yeah.
So then I don't think it should be Pete. Someone that won't know what you're doing.
I enjoy Pete getting a rise out of Pete.
Okay.
Can we call Pete?
We'll call Pete. We'll call Pete. His wife's Kate. It's Jessica. Oh, one of them is Theo.
Hi, this is Peter. Sorry I missed you. If you leave a voice message or send a text message, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Matt Williams. I've got his number.
Yeah, okay.
Skype.
Neil Patrick Francis.
Oh, hi, Matty.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Hi, Matty. It's Trimby here.
Trimby, how you doing?
Yes, all good, Matt. What's the crack?
Oh, good, buddy. Just back in France. I actually thought it was Neil Francis ringing me, so I saw the 353 come up.
Oh, right, okay. You're waiting to hear from Frano, were you?
Yeah. I just supposed to do something on Friday. I got some fundraiser. You know the usuals, mate. You get dragged into.
Yeah. A few nixers around Six Nations.
Yeah, mate. Hey, you did well the other day, mate. You were really good. I didn't get a chance to talk to you afterwards. You're doing a good job.
Oh, thanks,
It's not easy
Matty.
what you did.
Thanks, Matty. Some of the feedback wasn't quite as positive, I must be honest.
Oh, really? Who told you that?
Yeah, some people thought I was a little bit wooden and a little bit uncomfortable.
Oh, mate. I can tell you, pal, stand up there reading auto cue is the hardest thing to do with this commentary and the TV stuff, mate. You did it really well. You get, mate, like everything, you get better at it, pal. But I thought you were really good. We all spoke about it afterwards. How were you?
Yeah, good man. Yeah, it was tricky. I enjoyed your story about Sean Connery, though.
Yeah, mate, you got to laugh, haven't you? You can't take yourself too seriously now.
Yeah, would you keep in touch with Sean at all?
No, I don't think so, mate. I think I watch a few of his movies every now and then.
Oh, good man. No, it was great to catch you, Matty, because I think whenever you finish playing and you bump into someone you haven't seen in a while, there's a connection. And I'm sorry about the Ulster question. That was probably that threw you, did it?
Not at all, mate. No, there's not a problem at all, mate. As I said to you, I got no problems with any of the boys. Not one of them.
Yeah, we did a few. Matty, we did a live show with the House of Rugby podcast last week in Cork, and we listed a series of Eddie O'Sullivan one-liners, and I think we could potentially do something similar with you. A few one-liners there, Matty. I'm thinking in particular of the time you called Rory Best a pork chop. Listen, Matty. I gotta go. The police are behind me here. I need to go. I'll give you a shout back, okay?
Okay, mate. Bye.
Love you, Matty. Cheers. See ya.
Wow.
Man,
Well
Matt
done.
Williams is a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now I've got to call him back and tell him that I was being mean.
You were stitching him up.
Yeah.
Oh, he came across really well there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So supportive, man.
That went great.
What did he do?
You know, I might keep in
What
touch
kind,
with
of
him more
what kind
often.
of a forfeit is this, man? Yeah. Absolutely got your tyres pumped.
It's an uplifting forfeit.
Can I have his number?
People who don't, like, I genuinely haven't spoke to Matty in years. Saw him last week for the first time.
What's the Sean Connery story?
Oh, he on the show, on the Virgin Media show last week, he said apparently, famously, he got a hard time from Sean Connery when he was coaching Scotland, and he weren't going well. Sean Connery said, "Oh, you're the fellow that's stuffing up the national team, are you?"
That's great.
Yeah.
I think we all might call Matt Williams after the show.
Yeah.
Well
Get
done,
him on
Matt
for
Williams.
chats.
I honestly do. I know I got like the whole thing was supposed to be a bit of fun. I honestly do find whenever you see guys that you played with, there's a connection, and there's like it's always wow. I didn't expect that whenever I saw Matty out of the blue on the show because we hadn't chatted before. When he came on, it's like it is actually great to see you. You know, like, and I find that with Rog and not so much Shane because didn't really know him.
Wouldn't know him as well.
But you know
Just
what I mean?
You got that fend on you.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, the fact that the minute you brought it up, he started doing this. He started doing this with his hand, like 'cause he knew.
Yeah.
He knew. Someone said, "Oh, you're going on this rugby podcast with Barry Murphy and Andrew Trimble and Jerry Flannery." He goes, "Trimble? Oh yeah."
Yeah.
That one where I got him with the fend.
He can still see you, and he thinks you. He
Yeah.
looks down.
He was like that.
I love in the back. I watched it last night. Actually, just
Oh, did you?
randomly watched it on YouTube because I knew he was coming on, and then in the background you're like slapping the ground, like just so broken by the. Fact
Oh, really?
that-
Oh, sorry, the Fend.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You watched
Yeah,
it?
I watched it, and you're just
How
like,
bad was it? Throwing a tantrum.
yeah, no. Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It was a good handoff. It wasn't a great tackle.
All right.
Yeah. But look, as you said, he's Shane Williams. He's done that pretty much. Well, he's danced around everyone.
He's not done that.
He's the only one.
That was the first time he's done that.
Alrighty, that is a long show. Yeah. It was thoroughly enjoyable. Thank you all for listening, and for those of you watching, hello on YouTube. But before I do that, we have to do our predictions. I forgot about this. Okay, for next week, new round, all to play for Trimble. Trimble. You think you can win round 2? You got to redeem yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Find this one very, very difficult to call.
Okay,
Actually,
Ireland. Go Ireland, Wales first. Yeah.
Ireland, Wales. I'm probably inclined to go Wales
Okay.
by 2 points.
Ooh. Jure.
Wales by 3.
I'm gonna go Ireland by 6.
Nice.
We'll see. Scotland versus England.
I think England will bounce back a little bit. England by 6.
England look really, really bad. I can't see Scottish packs handling. I was wrong last week. I didn't think the Scottish pack would front up like they did. I still think England. I think England by 7.
Okay. Can I give a draw? I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go draw.
Ballsy.
Yeah.
France versus Italy.
France by 17. Sorry, what is that game?
France.
18.
I think France by 20.
Okay. I'm gonna go France by 29. Done. Come on. Jesus. Okay, that's there are predictions. Although we want all of you to get involved in the Guinness Pint Predictor as well. So download the Match Pint app and use the
What was that?
download the Match Pint app and use the league code HORIE to join. Now we can finish the show. That was a long ass show. Cheers everybody for listening. Thank you to everyone for watching on YouTube. Thank you to everyone involved in the show today. To Pat, to Paul, to Ian, to Fiona, to Anthony, to Raj, and to Shane, Jerry, Trimby,
To Matt Williams.
to Matt Williams. This has been Baz and Andrews, House of Rugby here on Joe, together with Guinness. Party on.
Party on.
Party on.